Hello, I'm Bridie Monaghan from The Independent, and as part of our wonderful partnership with Latitude Festival, I am joined today by comedian, actor and Latitude Festival veteran, Marcus Brigstocke. Hello.
Hi.
Hi, how are you today?
I'm really well, how are you?
Yeah, good, thank you.
Very sunshiny.
Thanks, thank
nice.
you. You've got a pop of yellow here too.
Yeah, just a little, tiny little flash.
It feels slightly rude to call you a veteran, but you have been doing this since 2006 when they started?
I will take it.
Yeah?
Yes, I have. I did the very first Latitude, and I think I've only missed one. When our boy was born a few years ago, I think I've done every single one apart from that. So,
my goodness,
yeah.
What keeps you coming back?
Oh, honestly, everything. I mean, it's partly now, Latitude is sort of part of my family's summer. It really is. Like, we absolutely think of it as being the thing we go to. And the fact that I perform there is a bonus. I like that. But it's not as good as being at the festival, which I love. So, I mean, my daughter, who's just turned 21, she was there when she was 4 months old.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
What's
amazing.
your kind of most memorable experience as a family going to the festival?
Well, it's going to sound really conceited, but it's something we did as a family. So when Prince died in 2016, I phoned Latitude and I said, look, I just love Prince so much. I've seen Prince loads of times. I love even the bad records I like. You know, even the triple emancipation and stuff, like, I find good in it all. And so I said, we should do something, like a tribute or something. And they're like, it's a bit late and you're not a musician. I went, lip sync competition, dressed as Prince, and whoever wins, just from the audience, whoever wins decides who gets 1,500 quid, like a charity. So I came out and we did Let's Go Crazy with me all dressed up as Prince. And my kids, who were variously, they've been 11 and 13, were in charge of all the special effects, light and smoke and confetti cannons. And I said, don't blow them all early doors. And they just blasted about 30 confetti cannons during Let's Go Crazy. And by the end, and it's not to do with us, it's all to do with Prince. When we did Purple Rain and had about sort of 20 Princes on stage, everyone was doing the lighters and phone lights and stuff, and people were crying. It was an amazing, beautiful experience, and it was really random. Just saying to the audience, like, "Okay, who knows Raspberry Beret?" And loads of people go, "Yeah," and then they come up and lip sync it. We'd give them an outfit and a guitar to play with, and so it was joyous because it was my whole family.
I think that should be a staple of festivals, a lip sync battle.
Well, listen, it's 10 years this year since Prince died, and every year I'm like, it's not too late, we could bring it back. I did it for maybe 3 or 4 years, and people come sometimes angrily to me and go like, where's Prince Fest? Like, it's my fault. I'm like, look, there's a lot of great stuff on, so yeah, that was a joyous moment.
Who could we have this year?
To lip sync to?
To lip sync to?
Oh man, no one who's disgraced themselves.
No, we'll avoid that. You've just finished your most recent tour. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Can you explain to me a bit about the premise and why you chose this topic?
I can, yeah. The show was called Vitruvian Mango, based on Da Vinci's Vitruvian Man, which is the ideal man. And I thought the question of what an ideal man is an interesting one right now. I don't know if you've seen us men, but we're a whole mess of problems right now. You know that Louis Theroux fella, who I used to be mistaken for when I had a fuller beard. He went and met a bunch of the ones who'd give him access, which are the least problematic members of the manosphere. Went, sure, I'll talk to you, like the thickest of the thick, spoke to Louis Theroux. So there's loads of issues, and up the most interesting end, I think, all the men that I know, who I would describe as, you know, progressive and decent, we all understand the list of things which men are not really wanted for anymore. We're not needed for, and you could summarise that roughly under, don't do things for women that they haven't asked you to do. Roughly speaking, you know, you could be polite without, but don't assume that a woman needs you to do something. Right, so there's a list of stuff men are not much wanted for anymore, but there isn't yet that kind of positive list of like, well, what is an interesting function for a man? So the back half of the show was about male friendship, not trying to define what that list might be, but just saying like, I think that male friendship is hugely important and a bit underdone. You know, talking to my male friends, spending face-to-face time, not through a screen, is the thing that makes me a decent man, I think, a good man, someone I feel good about. So it was great. I loved it. Really fun, interesting show. And now I'm writing the next one, which is called Throwing Sheep. Do you remember when Facebook first arrived?
I do.
You could poke people.
Yeah.
Do you remember throwing sheep?
No.
Okay, so there was a thing, right? I could poke you on Facebook, and it didn't mean anything. It was just, oh, you poked me. Yeah, I'm poking you back, right? There was a sort of phase 2, which was, I just threw a sheep at you, which was, it wasn't aggressive. It was probably a bit more flirty. It was maybe a bit more like, hey, I really want your attention. And I think it was the beginning of Facebook understanding what the attention economy was. You know,
Wow.
like you could poke, that's something. I'm throwing a sheep at you. This is bigger. It's maybe an act of violence, or it's maybe a bit funny or something. It's the beginnings of the understanding of the attention economy. And now, obviously, I don't throw a sheep at you or poke you. I send you a video that will appall you or upset you or make you laugh, or one that's like subtly, I think this is you, but I'm not saying. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
And so that attention economy, which has captured so much of us. So that's the premise of the show. That's what I do these days. I do subject first and then write a show to fit the brief, rather than go, these are all the funny thoughts I had. It's a more interesting way for me to work.
Yeah. On that kind of topic, just to go back to, you know, the masculinity topic and how it's changed over the past year. Your tour was obviously 2025 to 2026, and a lot happened during that period.
Yeah.
I think just before you started touring, Donald Trump was elected again.
Yeah.
Like you said, the Manosphere documentary came out, and I think Adolescence came out on TV as well. I know that quite a lot of the time you write a comedy show and you workshop it, and then that is what goes out. But did you find yourself like changing and tweaking, and how did you do
massively.
that?
Yeah, changes massively, and changes for the audience you're playing to as well. So I did, effectively at last year's Latitude, I did bits from the tour show, but obviously I'm not going, right, everybody pay attention, let's just talk about men for 40 minutes. I did bits, so you change it for that. I was very relieved that the tour was maybe 2 weeks off ending when Louis Theroux's documentary came out, because I was like, not another rewrite. But what was great about the process actually was when I started writing it, which is about a year before I started touring it, there'd been some polling done in the UK, boys aged between 14 and 24, and at that time, 52% of them expressed a positive opinion of Andrew Tate. So more than half, which I know you know, 52% is more than half. But I just found that so upsetting and disturbing. But during the process, even of writing it and then touring it for a year, those numbers collapsed quite significantly. Andrew Tate still has massive reach, as do his sort of grotty acolytes. And the manosphere is in rude health. But nonetheless, Andrew Tate himself and what he and his brother Tristan have been up to, like that has started to fall away. And Adolescence marked a huge difference. And the Louis Theroux documentary, the pleasing thing with stuff like that, and perhaps I flatter myself, but to an extent my tour as well, is that you don't need to have seen them for it to become part of the conversation. And it's just really helpful when parents go, wait a minute, my son and my daughter are seeing what? You know, and starting to ask those questions. So, yeah, there's always rewrites. I mean, the tour show I did before that, when I wrote it, we had one prime minister, and by the time I got it out on the road, we were 2 prime ministers on. So, yeah.
Gosh, a lot to change.
Yeah, but that's quite nice being a comic, actually. I'd hate to just have a locked script that felt like it couldn't evolve. I mean, that's the deal with the audience as well, isn't it? Things happen and then they see you working.
Yeah, yeah.
Fun.
So preparing for the next tour then, the next set, do you have any touring rituals or like superstitions backstage beforehand?
I do, but they're going to sound really... Oh, I don't care how they sound. They are what they are. So I do, I pray actually before I go on. I don't pray, like, please give me a good gig. But I basically do a spoken gratitude list. And it's a thing that came from doing the Edinburgh Festival for so many years. This year will be my 30th anniversary of being a comedian. So I've done so many shows, usually 2 shows a year at the festival, or sometimes more than that. You know,
Congratulations!
Thank you. Yeah,
huge marker.
It's a lot. It's a lot. Yeah. And after a while, someone said to me, I wish I could remember who it was. Like, when you take a new show to an audience, right? The temptation is to go, "Here's my show. Come on. Here's all the thing I made." If you can offer your show on a flat hand and go, "Here's the thing I made," and offer it in a sort of more open-hearted way, that's firstly a nicer experience for the audience, and it takes the sort of pressure off you as a comedian going like, "This has to work. You have to love what I do. You have to laugh, and it's measurable. If you're not laughing, I've failed." And you just go, "I made this. I made this. There you go." It's a much nicer way of sharing a thing. So I do a gratitude list before I go on stage, sort of in the form of a prayer. And it reminds me that lots of the people might have come to see me more than once. Well, thank you for them. Some people might be coming for the first time. Well, thank you for them. Thank goodness for them. Some people might be there who have children at home and are also paying for babysitting as well as come to see me. So thank you for them. The theatre, they're always, not always, but 99 times out of 100, the theatres are really lovely. They make you feel very welcome. So there's lots to feel thankful for. And for me, when I go on with that attitude, then I have the best show. So in the end, it's a selfish act. But that's the ritual.
That was such a wholesome, unexpected answer.
Well, you know how I paused and I went, "You're going to think I'm," yeah, but it is kind of, that's why I paused, because it is a bit wholesome. But do you know what?
That's lovely.
It's great.
That's lovely.
It works really well.
You've been very open and honest over the years about your struggles with addiction and your mental health. How do you
Drives my wife crazy, by the way. She's
really?
Yeah, she's like, because by the time we got together, all that was over. I've been in recovery and I'm well and everything's good. And she's like, "Why do you always just talk about you, the dysfunctional addict?" So, yeah, it drives her crazy. But I'm used to it. It's been my whole adult life.
Yeah, it's made you the man that you are.
It has. Yeah. It has. And again, you know, like, gratitude is a big part of how I'm okay. I was helped for free by people who were already recovering from alcoholism, food addiction, which has always been like the main thing for me. That's the one I struggle with. Also, because alcohol and drugs, you just stop, right? Food, you have to eat. And so if you're compulsive like I am, you have to eat and then go, "Okay, I guess I must have had enough." Like everyone else has stopped eating and one of the waiters is crying, you know, so you have to sort of learn how to stop. But yeah, like, I've been helped for free by people who'd already recovered from that thing. And then I, in turn, have been able to help people who are coming in and starting off. So yeah, I'm lucky. I'm very blessed.
How do you think it's shaped you as a comedian?
Well, a lot. I mean, it was a long time. So I used to say that comedians who just talk about themselves really ought to read more and go out, you know, like watch more things. And then a mate said to me, "Listen, you more than halved your body weight when you were 17. You were a podium dancer. You worked on an oil rig. You were an alcoholic before it was legal for you to drink.
Yeah.
Really, start telling some of these stories." And I went, "All right then, yeah. Do you think I should include that I was a rollerblading instructor?" They're like, "Yeah, maybe." So I did start kind of talking about some of that stuff. But mostly with the addiction stuff, I did it in a oneer. You know, I did one show that was particularly about food addiction, because not very many men talk about what food addiction looks like. It's sort of still weirdly thought of as a women's issue, which is nonsense, obviously. So I did it in a oneer, but it kind of, I guess it underpins a lot of what I do. And yeah, it certainly, you know, partly informed what I think about being a man and trying to be like, what does living a good life as a man look like?
I know you just said your wife kind of gets on at you about
Yeah,
it,
yeah.
but obviously, like, you are in like such a better place now. I've had my own mental health struggles with various things over the years, and when I feel like I'm about to have a wobble now, I am a bit self-indulgent, and I say to myself, like, what would 15-year-old Bridie think of who I am now as a person? So I was wondering what you think 15-year-old you would think of you now.
Oh, 15-year-old me would have thought I was the most awful bore. Just a really tedious old man who the best he can manage is to list music that he's into that he thinks makes him credible. I was a really intolerant 15-year-old, you know. But however, if I could get 15-year-old me to listen, I would say those things, you know, like I would say, wait, just wait. Like the hardest thing is staying in discomfort. It's hard for addicts, especially because we're the least practiced at it, right? But it's hard for anybody to stay in discomfort. If you choose discomfort, you're a fetishist, and that's wrong. But we will struggle. Life is hard sometimes, and life will bring you suffering. That's being alive. That's being a person. Can you stay in it? I don't mean like pray it better or gratitude it better. I don't mean say, you know, like, oh, tomorrow this will pass or whatever. Just be in it. Just be in suffering in that moment and accept this is what suffering feels like. You know, you should seek help if you need help, right? But just be in suffering. A 15-year-old me wouldn't understand that. But everything I did that caused me the most harm was trying to escape from the suffering that I was in that single moment. And the escape made more suffering until eventually then you reach a state of chaos, you know. And I think, you know, I'm quite screen addicted. That's an active addiction for me, and I wish I wasn't. It's a big part of why I'm writing this new show. But I think it's a sort of universal experience, it seems like. Like the mental health assistance that we give each other, we don't give anything to each other. We give stuff to Mark Zuckerberg for free, right? And it sort of looks like help, but a lot of it is come out of that suffering, take these pills, do this thing, move on to this thing, instead of like, I don't mean like I'm not into duvet days. I think that's nonsense. I think it's really destructive. Oh, do you know some days if the best you can manage is just to be in bed and eat ice cream, then that's okay too. It isn't. It's really unhelpful. It'll cause you harm. Try not to. Try not to. Sometimes that's what you get, right? Then forgive yourself and try not to the next day, right? But this sort of mental health assistance thing online, I treat with great caution, I would say. That's quite a jumbled answer for the 15-year-old me. See? He'd know I was a bore.
I think he would look at some of your success, though, and think that's pretty damn cool that I've done that.
He might like that. He might like that, yeah. I could say to 15-year-old me, you know what ended up happening? I ended up making my life in the arts. That's incredible.
And that is something in itself, yeah.
Even coming from privilege, which I do, and so the likelihood of my being able to do that is massively elevated, and it's a huge issue. Quick plug for Arts Emergency, fantastic charity who help people who haven't had the kind of privilege I've had to get into the arts. But yeah, to be able to say to 15-year-old me, it gets really fun. This gets super fun. You will work alongside people who are awesome.
Your CV is pretty stacked. You've worked across TV, film, musical theatre and stand-up. I'm a millennial. Can you guess where I discovered you from?
Yes, I can. It was King Stupid. It was
I
King
loved
Stupid.
that show.
Do you know what's so lovely, right, is that now the people who saw King Stupid, where I was the king of stupidity, and I had Goober, my gremlin assistant, creating stupid things on Earth, right, in the form of a sketch show. It was such a great premise for a show. All those people like you are now adults and get to go, you were this thing in my childhood, which is super cool. I'll tell you a funny story. So there was a character in it who did, you'll remember, Devil Finger. right? Devil, he had a possessed finger, which is
Yes.
just really funny, very silly. Devil finger.
And Bendy Wendy, don't forget his
Bendy
partner.
Wendy in response. Bendy Wendy. I was doing a show in Norfolk somewhere, and I'd finished a show and I'd gone to the car park, and the sort of dread fear of not just me but most comedians is encountering audience members in the car park afterwards because they want to chat and you're like, I got a 5-hour drive home. Anyway, this very tall man came over to me and went, do you remember me? And I went, I'm so sorry, mate. I don't mean to be rude, but I don't. And he went, Devil finger. And he'd grown up and he's this like,
Stop.
he's way taller than me. And it was so cool. So I saw Devil finger after like, I don't know, whatever it was, like 12, 15 years after we'd made that show.
Oh my gosh.
But the sadness with King Stupid was I made series 1 about 3 weeks after my eldest son was born. And it was really hard. It's like 5 a.m. pickups, filming all day, 5 a.m. for makeup, and then on you go, and then filming all day. And their mum, my wife at the time, was brilliant and super understanding. But it was very painful to be away from my newborn. And then when they made series 2, it was scheduled about 3 weeks after my daughter was going to be born. And I said, guys, you've either got to bring this forward, I can do it just before, or push it back by minimum 6 months. Because that first bit, again, comes back to what are men for, right? What's our role there? Trying to understand how to do that well. So I said, push it back or bring it forward, and they couldn't for lots of reasons. So I said, well, I'm really sorry, I can't do the second series then. And then it kind of, Phil Cornwall did it, and I thought did a really good job, but I was very sad to let it go.
It was such a good show.
Yeah, fun. And then I did Sorry I've Got No Head as well, which was crazy fun. And the cast in that was so good. Brilliant people.
You're now well known for your quick wit and satirical comedy. How are you finding that job now in the current climate in 2026? And do you feel that there's not enough material or far too much material?
There's too much material to there's too much material to do what I used to do, which was reactive news-based comedy. I mean, I did a live, literally newspaper review show for years and years and years. It was really good fun. And I do that once in a blue moon now, but everything's too fast and too, we want that, everybody wants that turnover, the clamour for a change of leadership without anyone going, can we just check whether that has made things better over the last, however long? I think is really peculiar and unhelpful. But anyway, there's far too much happening. And what we're also now deeply in our camps, right? So when I started doing topical satirical comedy, we were all definitely in our camps. But I always used to say, for example, you could read the Daily Telegraph, disagree with it, but learn something, right? You can't read the Daily Telegraph anymore. Not if you expect to learn anything, it's a nonsense, it's just rubbish. The Mail I didn't really feel you could learn from the Mail as you were reading it at the time, but at least you could sort of get a view of what a certain, in fact a very large group of people in the UK thought. But now we're in our pockets, in our echo chambers, and that's very difficult. And this notion, you can't say anything anymore as a comedian, is not true. It's absolutely not true. If you do it right, you can say anything, right? And I do. There's nothing I choose not to say on stage because I'm I'm scared of the clapback. There are a couple of subjects. I don't get into the gender identity stuff because I have no skin in that game. I know 2 trans people. I got nothing for it. But this sort of enshrined these camps that we end up in are so destructive. And I also feel like adding to that is unhelpful from the stage. I'm damned if I'm going to go, here's what everybody should think about Palestine. And it's maybe there's an entire show on the history of the establishment of Israel and the history of Palestine. You'd have to go back a long way, but I'm not writing that one at the moment.
It's a long old show.
Quite a long show, isn't it? Yeah, maybe several thousand years in length. Yeah.
Another very funny comedian in your household as well is your wife, Rachel. What's it like being in a comedy household with a young child?
That's really good.
Yeah.
It's really good. I mean, our lad Billy, who's 4.5, you know, sporty parents celebrate a fast runner or a good swimmer, right? They're thrilled. They're, oh, look, isn't he fast? Right? Academic, intellectual parents are thrilled when they've got a little reader. With Billy, anything funny, we're over the moon. I mean, a well-timed fart, and we're just delighted, you know. So he said he's been learning about the Great Fire of London, but he couldn't quite remember what it was, and he came back from reception and he said, I have learned about the best fire in London. That's so cool. So yeah, anything funny we celebrate. But it's great. It's really genuinely helpful, not least because Rachel is also a millennial, so she has a slightly different sensibility to me about comedy. So I'll go, oh, what do you think of this? She'll be like, no. And I'm like, I could disagree and do it anyway, but it's nice and honest and good. She's quite harsh with my material.
I mean, who do you think is the tougher critic, your Billy or Rachel?
Oh man, Rachel actually.
Rachel,
yeah. Billy thinks lots of the things we do are funny, but we're good sounding boards for each other. Me less so for her because she's just less needy. She doesn't bring her stuff to me. Go, what do you think of this? You know, and instead of going, I like it or I don't, I will come up with a list of like, you could do this, and this. Because I love, she does too, but I love that process. It's good fun living with a comedian. You know?
It sounds like a very funny household.
It's all right. It is a really funny household, yeah.
What can the festival goers at Latitude Festival expect from you this year?
Well, I would hate to think that people have missed out on the thing I think I do best at Latitude, which is dance. I do a lot of dancing, and it's quite nice because I really do just throw myself into the festival. I go for the whole weekend. If it's sunny, the ritual is we go to Southwold, we all have a swim in the sea, and then we go on site, and then we do the whole festival, and then on the Sunday on the way out, or possibly the Monday morning, we go back in the sea and rinse it all off. So I do a lot of dancing. I throw shapes in a big way, and I will be, this year, I'll definitely be watching The Flaming Lips. I'll definitely be watching English Teacher, who I adore, and David Byrne. I mean, I'm not ruling out a massive suit. Yeah, and then my show, I don't know, actually. I don't know yet.
Okay.
Well, I mean, it depends how far I've got with creating the new stuff. The thing about Latitude is that comedy stage, unlike, I don't want to slag off any of the other festivals that I also enjoy playing, but the comedy is not an afterthought at Latitude. It's like the main thing during the day. The comedy stage is rammed and it's enormous. And it's so big now, they put it on big screens for the people who can't get in to see the main shows, you know. So it's a big gig and everybody who plays it is nervous. Everybody. I saw Greg Davis last year, who I hadn't seen in years. It was really, really nice to see him. And he's very confident. He's very famous. He's on tour, so his stuff is dynamite. And he was like, yeah, should be fine. So everybody's like that. So you can't just go loose goose and try new material there. So it depends. If my new stuff's ready, if it feels shiny, then I'll do it.
Okay.
I'm also doing
Very
an
exciting.
improv show with the Comedy Store Players have started doing it. So like the only live comedy I had seen before I became a comedian was the Comedy Store Players. That's all I'd seen. I'd seen stuff on telly, but I'd never seen anything live. And now I play with the players. I mean,
wow.
You know, you see how easy it is to be grateful?
That's
Life's
very
pretty
cool.
great. Yeah.
That is very cool.
Yeah.
Well, whatever you end up performing, good luck.
Thank you.
I hope it's a great weekend.
Maybe Prince Fest.
Maybe. Who knows? Yeah, thanks for joining us in the studio
Pleasure.
today. You can catch Marcus at the TK Maxx Comedy Arena at Latitude Festival from the 23rd to the 26th of July.